The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kid Constitution himself, Joseph Bemister on the Young American Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Young American. I'm your host, Joseph Bemister. We are live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café. Find us on iHeartRadio, the United Podcast Network, YouTube Live, and Podbean. This podcast is fully fact-based about politics. It's also opinionated about how our government's going, their officials, laws, and how we think it's changing in a good or bad direction. Through my libertarian views and my guests, today we have Mark Fournier. This is, fourth time back on? Fourth time back on?
Third time, I think, buddy, yeah.
And then we decided to bring my mother up because she has her microphone on her ear. It's out.
What?
Other side.
I told you.
And this is why she's on today.
I couldn't hear.
Mama Constitution.
Yeah, Mom Constitution, to have a discussion about the NFL. And we actually had an argument about it a couple days ago, and I decided, you know what, she's here, let's bring her on. Mm-hmm. Today, 3 talking points. I already mentioned one, but we're going to be talking about North Korea backing out of the peace talks, the Air Force losing a box of grenades, and then also the NFL forcing their players to take a knee, or to not take a knee, and how I feel on that and why I'm kind of torn. So we'll jump right into North Korea backing out of denuclearization and peace talks with the United States because they feel that it's a one-sided trade deal, that they have to give up the nuclear weapons. After that was said, they still met with the South Korea leader, and they had pretty good talks apparently. Mark, what do you have on that?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to go down. I mean, from what I've read and what I've seen on the news and online is that, they have North Korean has diplomats in Washington right now, which has been, I don't know if that's ever happened since the Korean War. And they're actually, laying out all the groundwork for this meeting on June 12th with President Trump. And I think I think North Korea is desperate from what I read and what I've seen. And they need something to shake and break. But the problem is that Kim Jong-un doesn't want to not have nuclear weapons. That's like his life goal right now. And but his country is really falling apart due to the sanctions that Trump has ratcheted up and a lot, applied pressure to other countries in the area, hence Japan and China, to really start to strangle out, North Korea's flow of goods and commerce. And so they're feeling the effect now. So I think they're coming to the table in a different manner this time, and I think something's going to happen.
Yeah, I think when we put the sanction on that they can't export coal, that really took 50 or 60% of their economy and infrastructure. They lost everything, and their country was already poor, and they couldn't feed their people, and now it just got worse. So people are saying that he's starting to get pretty scared and that he's in fear that there might be a coup, and this is why he's doing so. Mom, do you have anything on that?
Well, if you talk to others who watch the news and get most of their information from the news, they say the reason why this fell through is because of Trump's attitude, that he made this fall apart because he wasn't very professional. How do you boys feel about that?
I think that's how he negotiates. Everything that I haven't read The Art of the Deal. It's on my reading list this summer. It's something I want to read, but I've heard a lot of people talk about things he's written in The Art of the Deal. And, one of the way he negotiates is with strength, and that's what he's done here. He wasn't afraid to walk away when, Kim Jong-un said them bad things about the vice president.
Yep.
And so he just said, you know what? And then Kim Jong-un's the one that came back and said, okay, hold on there, kind of rescinded his words a little bit, said, we still want to meet, we still want to get this done. So that's why I think it's different now. I think the strength that President Trump is going to negotiate from and with, and the condition that North Korea is in now, them two things, the timing is right for something to get done.
Yeah, and I think that he was pretty, not rude, but assertive in his letter to Kim Jong-un when he kind of basically told Kim Jong-un that, I have nukes too, and that if you don't denuclearize and we get into a war, I don't, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to quote him or try to. He said, thank God that we'll not have to use our nukes, or, pray to God that we do not have to use our nukes, because I think he was trying to be assertive in there and kind of put Kim Jong-un down and basically say, I'm bigger than you, you're going to do what I say.
Well, there's something to be said for you're dealing with a bully with Kim Jong-un, and you kind of, the only real way to deal with a bully is to stand up to the bully, and I do believe that Donald Trump is a bully himself. But on the flip side, I believe in his heart of hearts, he does have the best interest of the United States at heart, and only the United States.
Yeah.
So there are some people that think that he's kind of gone off the beaten path, and maybe in a bad way. But I think that his heart's in the right place, and when your heart's in the right place, I think you tend to make the right decisions.
Yeah. I also think that, what's going down with Iran is kind of similar, but we're not in peace talks with Iran. We're starting actually potential conflict with Iran in Syria. Israel, too, is getting involved, and I think it's going to be something similar we're going to see in the future if we put sanctions on Iran and we can choke them down like we did North Korea. So the NFL players being forced to take a knee, and kind of why I'm torn between that, because although the NFL is a public entity, they can make the rules however they want. I also feel that the players have their own rights, and where does the rights as a company to enforce new rules and regulations and the players' rights as individuals, where does that line come into place?
Can I speak to that first?
So I have a lot to say, Jonathan.
I have a dress code for my employees. They have to wear a Two Guys Smoke Shop. When they come to work, they must be wearing Two Guys Smoke Shop garb. In fact, on certain days of the week, we wear blue vests, and on other days, we wear black vests, so we all look the same. If they decide they want to have a pink vest printed with a Two Guys logo on it and spend their own money, they're welcome to do that. They are not welcome to wear that vest in Two Guys Smoke Shop because it's not part of the sanctioned uniform. In that respect, we're a private entity. Do you have the right to print anything you like? Of course. But if you're going to work here, you have to follow the rules set forth by the administration, in this case, Two Guys Smoke Shop, in that case, the NFL. They can set the rules as they see fit, and they lost an awful lot of money letting the players take a knee and saying, oh, this is part of their free speech. Half the country decided they were going to watch college football instead of the NFL, and now the NFL is seeing the writing on the wall, and they don't want to alienate half the country. So they're, I think, making the right decision.
I absolutely agree with that. I think with what Jonathan said, I think you absolutely have to take this in the context of employee, employer, and I think some of the players forgot that going in, like a couple of years ago when Kaepernick started doing this. And I mean, I blame the commissioner that started this. I don't want to rehash the whole thing, but I think if he would have done something then, 2 years ago, and put the kibosh on it, it wouldn't have grown into what it grew in here today. I think with that happening, and plus the election of Trump and him getting involved, gave the left an attack, and got the mainstream media on board, so it's become bigger than it is. But it comes back to exactly the groundwork he said. This is what we do at an NFL football game. When them guys pull into that stadium, they're at work, they're in the workplace, and the tradition, the protocol throughout the course of a game day goes like that, and that's how the owners want it to go, because that's what it's traditionally been done. That's the way the day is set up, right? It's like your work day. That's what part of it. And now, I mean, they still gave him the out to stay in the locker room, that they don't have to come out, which I'm not a fan of. I mean, the protocol is that that's what you do. This is your job. You're a performer, and this is part of the performance, if you will, to pay respect.
And there's a lot of players that'll take your job if you don't want it.
They're lining up. They're kicking down the door to get into the NFL to have that job. And I think, maybe that's going to be what it takes. There's going to be an owner to sit a guy down or suspend him for a little bit, because I know there's already talk of some players saying, that they're not gonna come out at all, or there's a lot of rumors going around. I've seen online and heard, but some people are going to take some drastic steps, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. You had said that you heard that they were going to protest and they just weren't going to go. And there was a whole team that wasn't going to come out and play. And Joey's argument is they have the right to do that, and yes, they do. But as a coach myself, I have to look and say, okay, why are they so offended by that tradition of standing during the national anthem? If it's something that is offensive, then let's look at it and let's see if they have the right to feel like their rights are being violated, and let's treat it effectively. But when I didn't sat and listen to it. I sang the whole thing by myself in the kitchen. What's so offensive about it? It's a song about a gentleman seeing the flag standing after a fight, after a battle. It kind of represents what these guys want to do. They want to go out there on the field, and they want to put their heart and soul out there on the line, and they want to win a battle. What is so offensive to Kaepernick about that, Joe? And why do you think he has the right to kneel? I'm
not saying I agree with him at all. I mean, I don't. I'm just saying, where does one's business or owners of the business can, in my opinion, kind of force players to or suppress their free speech? Where does that outweigh another.
No one is suppressing anyone's free speech, because when you're on the clock, you do your job, and you're a football player. You're not an activist. Now, if you'd like to be an activist, you can go be an activist on your time. But when you're on NFL time, you're a football player. Play football.
But people
That's not
don't,
the time to.
Exactly right.
People don't agree with that, though. They think that they're being forced to have patriotism.
No, I think the big fight, right, is that they want to bring attention to social injustice, right? There's a lefty word for it. Social injustice is what they want to bring attention to. So, but how many of these guys during the week are out, right, when it's hard, when it's on their time, are out in the cities, all the things that they're socially injustified of, and working towards a solution to that? They're not. The easy, simple thing for them is when everyone's dialed in on Sunday morning to tune in to NFL, they know they got the millions of people watching at home, and they tens of thousands in the fans, and they're doing the lazy thing by doing it then.
Right.
I challenge them, and there's some great NFL athletes out there, Drew Brees and Jason Witten and even Tom Brady's of the world, who go out and the things that they, that are their
passion,
they want to help, they do. But most of these guys, right, that aren't helping their social injustices are not doing anything at all. And so I would challenge them first. Do it on your own time, right, before you try to bring it into the workplace. But again, it's got to go back to the context of this is your job, this is your workplace. We don't do that. Two guys, smoke shop employees, don't sit up front here and, petition and do that. It's not allowed. They'd be fired right away. So that's what it's going to take. NFLs are going to have to take the game checks. That team that doesn't want to play on Sunday, that's it. They don't get paid that week. Some of them guys, that's $1 million plus a week, $2 million a week, some of them. That's a good chunk of change if you're really about your, your cause.
So again, going back to, I really think that everything should have a purpose. And if your purpose is that you feel that there's social injustice, then treat it appropriately. The flag doesn't represent social injustice. The flag represents actually the opposite of that. It represents freedom and a battle, and winning that battle and having borders that we all value and respect. The social injustice that was going on had to do at the time with the police officers. Why didn't those teams, those men, decide, you know what, we're going to hire our own security. We're not going to give money and support to police officers anymore because they are not treating all men equally. So until they decide that they want to treat everybody equally, we're not going to give them a job. We're going to hire our own security, no more police officers at any NFL game. That would be fighting bad with the appropriate punishment.
I agree with that. I also, the military has sunk millions of dollars since 2009 into the ceremonies prior to the game with the national anthem, hiring big name acts. And so it really is our tax dollars helping to pay some of the salaries of these people that want to disrespect the very military that are putting on these ceremonies. And I think it's abhorrent. Yeah,
but that all stopped. I'm pretty certain that you're right. The Navy they had budgeted money that was taxpayer money, part of the budget. But I think that stopped like in 2012, 2013. And there was a big expose on all that, and then there was backlash. And so the NFL has now said, you know what, we owe this to the troops, and they do it on their own. So I think that has stopped that aspect. But again, to Marianne's point, I mean I agree. Their social injustice was towards the police officers. And I actually heard a good conversation that today on a podcast I was listening to this week on how some of the I'm going to use it, the lefties want to combine military, police, first responders, and all the accolades and the praise they get now. They've kind of merged them into one entity, which is totally wrong. I mean, like you said, it's two totally different entities. And that's a problem that some of these people have as well. Your liberal progressives, that they think that we're going to a police state, and then we're military, police, first responders are all becoming too much alike and, kind of lumped together.
Yeah. My point also is, people say by taking a knee, they're making a political statement, but is also them standing up making that political statement too by, not agreeing with your politics or agreeing with your politics. If you make the national anthem, if you make it not protesting, you have to make it protesting politically, you know what I mean?
But where do you draw the line on it's a political statement and it's respect to how we got to be a free country? It doesn't have to be a political statement to stand for the flag. It could just be respect for the journey and respect and thanks. You can just give thanks for the life you have. It doesn't have to be political, Joe. People make it political.
But if people are making it political in the fact that they're kneeling, does it also make it political when they stand? And if you're forcing them to stand, is that, pushing
You're not
your
forcing them to
politics
stand. They can stand or they can stay in the locker room. There's two options.
on? So they can stay in the locker room.
Of course.
I saw something that said you have to be out with your team or you can't.
No.
play.
If you come out, they expect you to stand. No kneeling. Now they're even going as far as, because I guess they didn't write this into the rule, is locking arms and doing some of these other things that they some teams had done. But they're giving them the option. You either come out and you do it right, do it with the protocol that we've done for hundreds of years now, 200 years, or stay in the locker room. And that's kind of where they're at now. But, I mean, if they're going to do it, they got to do it right.
Yeah. All right. Well, now it's for break.
Break.
Yeah.
Break.
All right, we'll be right back with the Young American.
Attention cigar smokers or even friends of a cigar smoker. If you're looking to relax with a nice premium cigar or looking for a great gift for a cigar smoker, this is the gift that keeps on giving. Our friends at twoguyscigars.com have created the Cigar of the Month Club. For just $19.99 per month, you or your friend will receive 4 different premium handmade cigars every month. Shipping and handling is included. Contact twoguyscigars.com, that's the number 2, guyscigars.com, and go to the Cigar of the Month Club. You can stop anytime because there's no contract, but you won't. This is a tremendous deal for our listeners. Go to twoguyscigars.com, that's the number 2, guyscigars.com, and click the Cigar of the Month Club. At the same time, if you want to learn about the cigars you receive each month, you can smoke along with them on their own podcast called The Cigar Authority. Sit back, relax, enjoy a nice premium cigar from our friends at twoguyscigars.com.
And we're back with the Kid Constitution himself, Young American Joseph Bemister.
Welcome back, guys. We're going to jump right into the next topic, which is the Air Force losing a box of grenades. And Mark, being prior military, what would happen if you lost anything, let alone a box of grenades?
Well, I tell you, them guys' life right now, this is 2 weeks ago, I believe it happened?
Yeah, 2.5.
They're still living in hell right now, I guarantee it, because I know anytime you're a nuclear command where either you have nuclear weapons or you have nuclear reactor like we did on the submarine, your inability to account and paperwork and maintain records is one of the most important things that you do. And so when that happens, when something like that happens, right now there's the 1,000,000 candle-watt light that is shining on them, and they are looking at maintenance program records there. They're looking at all their inventories of ammunition, maintenance records for their equipment, training records for the guys. So life is not very kind for them boys in North Dakota right now, I'm sure.
No, it is not. Was that the Air National Guard or just regular Air Force?
I think it was. I think it's a blend, but.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. I mean, how many was it? I think almost 40 grenades they lost right off the back of the truck. And personally, if I found that, I'm not saying I would take it, but I probably wouldn't tell anybody it was there because it's a box of grenades. Why would you give those back?
That's why you have a mother.
Yeah, that is true. That's why I have a mom.
She would give you a dumb slap and make you bring them back with your tail between your legs.
She's caught you at just about everything. She's amazing.
This is true.
See, moms should just rule the world.
Yeah.
Thank God we had one mom that didn't get elected as president.
I will
vote. Right?
I'd vote for Marianne in a second. President.
No, she might make it like a mandatory PT for everybody in the morning. All right, wake up for beat burn, everybody.
That's right.
Sure.
Burpees for everyone.
Burpees for everyone, yeah.
You'd have a lot of burpees if you found that box and didn't give it back.
I wouldn't tell you then.
Yeah. So do you think people shouldn't bring it back?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I wouldn't bring it back personally, and it's something super dangerous. Like, what happens if people could make money off that, especially criminals? Like, that's just an open invitation for somebody to steal it.
Well, it's illegal to possess. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think no private citizen has the right to own grenades.
I believe it's class 4 license. It's when you're allowed to sell munitions and weapons to police officers, and you can get like automatic grenade launchers, flashbang grenades, and you can have your explosive license as well. You can actually own it, but it's very, very few people are allowed to have it. Either gun manufacturer or a dealer of some type.
Right.
Would that happen in the Navy?
What's that?
Lose grenades?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've had fire. I mean, we lost the firearm before the topside watch during weapon turnover as the centuries are turning. You know, topside on a submarine, and they go to swap the 9mm, and they fumble it, and ting, ting, bloop, and there it goes in the water. So you got to tag the whole submarine out, right, because you got in valves, out valves, and you got to isolate the whole thing, put divers in the water. Hopefully they find it, because there's silt there, and you lose a weapon. You got to submit a report. That's a report that goes all the way to the Joint Chiefs of Staff's office. It's a big deal. I mean, and so a box of grenades, you know, with an Air Force unit that guards nuclear weapons. I mean, they got nuclear missiles that they Minutemen missiles
Silos,
they guard.
Yeah.
That's
Silos
like I said, it's not fun right
there.
there in North Dakota right now. I'm sure them guys are feeling some pain.
Oh yeah, and if it's just the National Guard, they're getting lucky because they won't have to be there.
Oh no, they'll keep them. I'm sure if there's an investigation going on, they'll say call your employer and tell them you ain't coming back to work for a couple weeks until this investigation's over.
Well, yeah. That's just, I mean, people are going to find them. If they haven't found them already, which I believe they didn't, I believe, what was it, 2 days before they even told the Sheriff's Department about it, because they didn't want the Sheriff's Department to know. Then they put out a notice saying if anybody finds your grenades immediately, don't touch them, you know, leave them there and stay with them, but call the Sheriff's Department or the Air Force.
$5,000 too. I think they put out a $5,000 reward.
Well, wouldn't you
Is
give them back for that?
$5,000 enough for you to give up 40 grenades, Joseph?
Right.
I don't know. It all depends how much I can sell a grenade for on the black, or you know how much they're worth to me if something bad goes down.
You're on a recording right now.
I'm not saying I would steal
that
it.
you're willing to
I'm
steal
saying I don't know
from
if I wouldn't tell
and
anybody
defraud the government.
if there
That's
was
what's
grenades.
wrong with the world right now, Jonathan.
No, what's wrong with the world right now is we're not allowed to have those grenades.
I'm with Joseph on that. If the government can have it, I should be able to have
Exactly. And if finders keepers, you lose your grenades, they're mine now. Now I have them. Thanks, guys. There goes a portion of my tax money.
You've been paying taxes for like 2 weeks.
I've been paying income tax since I was 16 years
You
old.
get it all back, you dolt.
I don't know about all of it. And I haven't seen my tax return this year. I'm pretty upset about that. Actually really upset about that.
We're going to have to do a whole show about taxes.
And how they're theft.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but
does that mean
you still haven't paid any yet.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's a good topic.
Yeah. I mean, what were they? PJs? They weren't exactly PJs. They were silo security force. So they guarded silos. And were they training with those grenades? Were they just
No, they use them. I think they use them as part of their armament and their defense. You know, that's what they have for defense of the missiles. But they also lost a M240 50 machine guns, like a 7.6 millimeter.
7.62 millimeter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a weapon. They lost one of them too when they started looking and their inventories didn't match up. Like, wait a minute,
I definitely wouldn't give that one back.
We got this machine gun missing too. So.
And how often, Mark, does that stuff go out to the public? How did that happen?
Well, I mean, the military's usually pretty good about they don't. I mean, I read about it when Joey told me we talk about it. I went online. I read about it on Air Force Times, which is their kind of publication they put out. And I mean, the Air Force doesn't own that. I don't think they don't edit it, but they get all the inside information. The military doesn't really hide too much. I mean, last year when that guy on the submarine that got charged for classified information by taking pictures in the submarine engine room, and he got charged the full extent of the law, and then our president-elect just kind of got washed under the table, which just hopefully still going to be justified here soon. But
not that you have strong feelings on that.
No, I know. I don't want to dig back into that episode. But I think what was I going to say? But yeah, the military doesn't hide things like that. I mean, that's your taxpayer money. You have the right to know how it's being treated and acted. So they're pretty transparent when it comes to something like that. Now, if there's an active investigation, they'll say it's under investigation. But like when there's collisions or anything like that. Remember the few collisions we had with the Navy last year? You can go on there now. The captain just got fired last week. You can read the whole report and everything. And
is it dishonorably discharged?
What's going on. Usually with the skippers, they force them to retire because they're over 20 years by the time they reach that pay grade. So they usually force them guys to retirement so they don't, lose 28 years of their career. They still get out, but their career is now basically done.
Yeah, you're done.
Right.
Have fun in retirement.
Now, if it's criminal, they did some criminal stuff, that may be different.
Yep, but accidental stuff or something that, isn't such criminal or still get fired. Yeah. In a different way.
Well, the guy, the commanding officer of that unit in North Dakota, I read he got fired.
Yeah.
Because they lost of confidence and they get him relieved. And
Yeah, but so they lost an M24 Bravo or M249. I can't remember the exact number for that, but it's a 7.62 by 51 NATO heavy machine gun. It's meant for suppressing fire, and if they can't find them, somebody has them. Somebody definitely has them, and they're either keeping them because, okay, they just found these weapons that are worth more than $20,000, or they're selling them. And congratulations, you just gave, the cartels or a gang member or some Yahoo redneck who has money and a squad automatic machine gun. Well, it isn't. Well, that's a different gun, but a big machine gun. And grenades. Like, how could they lose those? What could have possibly gone wrong? Would they just fall off the back of the truck?
I guess that's kind of what I read the explanation is right now. They're driving across the Indian reservation and they hit a bump and boop, and there goes a crate of grenades and someone else found them. I mean, you hear it all the time, right? People find bags of money along the highway because the Brinks truck door flew open or something. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, what would the protocol be if that is lost? Do you know anything? Like, would they be sending search parties? Would they shut down the area and look for it? Like, what can they do? Yeah, no, I mean, I imagine they backtracked everything. They probably went back from where they started and backtracked and looked. And I imagine they had, they got dogs. Most military facilities now have dogs. I'm sure they put the dogs out through the trail that they took and tried to find them. But I mean, I don't know what else they would do. Yeah.
I mean, now they're looking though. I know there's, like I said, they've offered $5,000 reward, and
I hear like NYPD, for instance, just as an example, if they lose a handgun, that officer's completely gone. Like you said, their commanding officers are too, but they're looking everywhere for them. I mean, they're searching serial numbers, they're searching the area. If it's in an apartment building, I believe they're going to try to look for anybody who was even in that apartment building during that time, and they're going to be searching for that gun. Or guns, in this instance, explosives and firearm. And any other branch of the military, same thing, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, like the instance that I know firsthand of, right, like the topside watch that lost his 9mm over the side. I mean, we're in the middle of a maintenance period, and these are expensive maintenance periods because you got the shipyard involved, and you got ship's force, and you're parking a $1 billion submarine, and you shut down maintenance for an afternoon so divers can go in the water to find one 9mm pistol. Cost effective? No, but they do it.
They have to.
We have to find it.
If someone used that handgun in a crime, or someone happens to find it, get hurt, it's the Navy's fault.
That's it.
And so topside watch, when they do that, they get on top of the sub.
Well, that's where you stand watch. Yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean, when they transfer weapons, they don't go back into the sub and then transfer weapons, or they have to give them up.
No. So now, actually, this happened, early in my career. Now, depending on threat con and stuff, a lot of times what you do is, like me when I was chief of the watch or something, I'd arm. We'd actually check out another weapon, send the guy up armed, he'd relieve him, and then the other guy that was armed would come in and turn his weapon in to the small, the small munition we have on the sub, and that's how we would do the watch turnover.
And the old protocol was, they go up and get it and then relieve them.
Yeah, you do the weapon turnover, you check the weapon clear, check it, weapon clear, make it a condition 1 or whatever, whatever threat con we were in, and you'd attain that weapon condition, and then you'd relieve the watch. Sign your name, take into custody the weapon, serial number you check, how many bullets you got. And sometimes, too, a couple times, in checking the weapon clear, one of the bullets would fall out. And then they wouldn't put divers in the water necessarily for a bullet, but there would be an investigation report, have to go out and send a message saying, hey, we lost one 9mm round over the side.
How long does it usually take, to give your superior officers the report that, hey, my weapons were turned in safely, this is the serial number of the weapon? Like, what's the paperwork process to go through that?
I'm not sure what you're asking, like on a daily basis?
Well, like how long would that process take?
Well,
how extensive is that?
Well, it's extensive when it's a weapon that's lost. I mean, there's an investigation that goes on.
Well, not even lost, just regular everyday.
Well, so the captain gets a daily report binder and all the small munition numbers and what's checked out, what was checked out, and he gets a log of that every day, and he bottom lines it. And it's part of his daily report. I mean, with that comes engineering reports from the reactor, all the systems on the ship, what's tagged out and isolated right now. So he gets this daily binder that's got all that information in it, and that's just part of that.
I should have the binder at home. I should make Joey check.
CJ and Joey, okay, you used this pot last night at this time, and you cooked rice, and then you had to wash it.
I'm not talking domestic. I'm talking weapons. You should start getting into that protocol. Check it every day.
I have 14 bullets out of the 15 that were in my magazine. Oh no.
I want it accounted for. Where'd it go?
it's $1, basically, a couple cents there for that round. It gets expensive after a while. You keep losing them. All right, I think, do you have anything else to say on that subject, Mom?
On which one?
On the Air Force losing the grenades. Nothing?
Nope.
Alrighty, I think that's we're gonna wrap it up now. As always, guys, thank you for listening. Welcome back for everybody who has been listening. We are live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café. Please like and subscribe this podcast. Next week, I believe it's going to be our last episode for now. We're going to come back, though. We're going to take a little break. We're going to be talking about body armor for civilians and why it's a good idea, even for people who don't agree with firearms or body armor. Why more veterans of the United States military or even police officers kind of tend to lean more to the right or conservative side. Anybody out there who is interested in sponsoring or kind of helping out the show, please contact me and we'll leave more details in the bio. Thank you. See you next week.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.